Welcome to Make You Remarkable, brought to you by Oconee State Bank, the podcast that's all about unleashing your inner leader and making an impact on your community. Get ready for a wild ride of inspiration, education, and a whole lot of fun. Each week, we sit down with local legends, business owners, and influential minds to talk about their journey, their impact, and the secrets behind their incredible success. This is not your ordinary bank podcast. We're here to bring the energy, the laughs, and the aha moments that'll leave you itching to conquer the world. Now get ready to make your remarkable with your host, JT Tomlin.
Hey guys, welcome back to Make You Remarkable, officially Season 2. Today I am joined with Jamie Hamilton. Jamie is the Executive Director of the Special Needs School of Gwinnett, a nonprofit school in Gwinnett. He does not have a traditional resume and has worked as a professional PGA golfer for over a decade, right?
Yes, sir.
It's crazy. Jamie is no stranger to building relationships, facilitating growth, and empowering those around him. And he does that on behalf of his students and their families with the unique abilities to meet the needs of his community, which is awesome. And we're super excited to talk to you about this today.
Yeah, I'm
especially about the special
here.
needs schools. Like super, super cool. But tell me a little bit more about yourself and about your background.
Yeah, so as a young kid, we moved all over the place. My dad was a civil engineer, so his work took us all over the country, but Maryland was home. So I grew up in the state of Maryland, got into the game of golf. You alluded to my sort of past in the game of golf. That took me to Penn State University, spent 4 great years there. So I'm in enemy territory down here in the SEC country. But yeah, spent the better part of 10 or 15 years working in the golf space. Had a wonderful time, got to work at some amazing private clubs and resorts from New York to Florida and everywhere in between. But my wife and I had the good fortune to move here to Georgia about 4 years ago. And my background had shifted just a little bit, my working profession into the nonprofit space, and managed to partner up with the Special Needs Schools of Gwinnett early in 2020. And it's been absolutely amazing, and I'm very proud to get to serve and work on their behalf. So it's great, and it's wonderful to be here today.
That's super cool. Going back to the PGA, you got to tell me what your favorite golf course is. There's got to be a favorite. You've got to be somewhat biased.
I am. I mean, everyone sort of has their favorite course they've gotten to play, and it's a combination of obviously the golf course, the people that you were there with, how you played sort of factors into that a little bit.
For sure.
Augusta National is sort of my number one experience. I had the good fortune to get invited to play there and got to stay overnight and do dinner and really the whole 9 yards. So it's really hard to beat Augusta National. In my working days, I had the good fortune to work at a club called the National Golf Links of America in Southampton, New York, one of the absolute greatest golf clubs anywhere in the world. I was there for 5 years, so that wasn't too bad either. So the game of golf has been very good to me over the years, and I've played more good golf courses than I certainly deserve.
Well, that's awesome. And so how have the skills that you've learned and the attributes you've gained from being a PGA professional, how have they moved over into your profession now with the Special Needs Schools of Gwinnett and also just the nonprofits that you've worked for?
So, yeah, working in the golf space, I think, is all about creating experiences. And whether that's at a private club for a membership, I worked at the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia, where you had folks in for 4 or 5 days at a time, and they were there to enjoy themselves. And it was, the responsibility was on our shoulders to deliver a great experience. And so you're there serving. In that case, I think you're serving because people are paying for it.
Yeah.
And so that again was a wonderful journey. And if you get comfortable working, with people, again, creating experiences for people, sort of being that person that's there to do anything that situation might require. I was a little bit worried when I got out of golf and made my way to nonprofit, and was that going to be an easy transition? But I found out, I think a lot of those skills really, really do come across. And, I serve now because people need it, and they need somebody advocating for them, not because they're paying for it. And so I think it pulls over, it comes across. For me, at least, I've been very lucky that it's worked well. But I think when I go to sleep at night and sort of think about my day, I know I'm doing a little bit more important work, so to speak, than I was in golf. And that's a tremendously rewarding feeling, and, touches you somewhere that a really good member guest can't quite, replicate.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's very rewarding. I mean, there's that reward in being able to teach someone these skills in golf, but then being able to see the tangible effects of what you're doing is just really cool with a nonprofit.
It is.
So tell me a little bit more about the transition. What was that transition like from being a PGA professional to being the executive director of a nonprofit?
So the initial transition took place early in 2019. We were still living in West Virginia in a very small town. They're adjacent to the Greenbrier Resort, and a group of friends and some members and folks in the community sort of caned me with this opportunity to come on board and represent their nonprofit. It's called the Greenbrier Valley Aquatic Center. They've for 2+ decades have been trying to build an aquatic and wellness facility there in that community. And I had a background swimming, and so it was something that was personal to me as well. And when you're the golf pro, you tend to know the members and the folks with the money. So they thought, hey, maybe this kid can come on board and raise some money for us. And so, it took a big leap of faith, joined them to run their capital campaign. Over the course of about 2 years, we ended up raising a little over $6 million.
Wow.
That facility is now built and opened and amazing. And folks, of course, I'm not living there anymore, but when we make it back in town or talk to friends that are enjoying it, it's something that will be around for decades and is doing some really great work and impacting people in some pretty profound ways up there. And it was very much, like I said, a leap of faith and something that I think I thought I could do. And I thought, maybe my skills could transition over. But I tell you, that first day, I wasn't entirely sure about that. And, had to spend a lot of time, working and understanding the differences and how my skills can sort of best serve the causes that I represent.
Yeah.
I still learn that every day. It's, I've only been in this space for about 4 years, and I'm still learning exactly how to be most impactful. But it's a wonderful journey and something I'm really proud to do.
Well, yeah. Tell me more about your job at the special needs schools of Gwinnett. Like, how do you learn what the needs are of your community, and how do you kind of put those into effect and kind of help solve those needs?
It's quite frankly been a very eye-opening experience. Prior to my time there, I didn't really have any deep personal connection to the world of special needs or special education outside of being involved in fundraisers or golf events. Serving a cause. It was pretty new to me. And so today, even to this day, I'm still learning something new from these kids every day. But very quickly, you realize some of the best possible young people you'd ever want to be around. And so many of them deal with challenges and circumstances that really put things in perspective for you. And, the problems that you think you have and the complaints we all sort of walk around every day and feel bad for ourselves about. And despite of all of that, these kids have often the most optimistic outlook on life, and every day is great. And, despite of all of these things, they have this, glass half full sort of mindset.
Yeah.
And so that struck me right away is, you come in every day, and if you're someone who has trouble getting motivated to do whatever it is your job is, go spend time with some of these young people. You'll quickly find that motivation. I know every day I do. And when I see some of the challenges that they have or their families have, and I know that I can play a role in trying to make that a little bit better, or give them a resource or an opportunity that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. I'd run through a wall to try to do that, and you go out every day and work as hard as you can because you're doing something great for people that really are deserving of it. And the beauty, I think, with our school or any small nonprofit is I then get to see that, live and in action, whether it's a grant or some volunteers or some donated supplies. The next day, that's in that classroom. It's in those kids' hands. It's making a difference. And so you get to sort of see it from start to finish.
Yeah.
And that is a really, I think, unique and motivating thing to sort of get to see it carried out and making the impacts that you hoped it would, and in some cases promised it would, but it's happening right in front of your eyes. Really meaningful.
I think that's really interesting because you see people like all the nonprofit events that you're talking about, like a golf event or like a fundraiser. You're doing something really good. You're able to help bring profits and finances to those organizations, but you don't get to see the whole journey. The beauty of your job is you get to watch it from start to finish and then see the tangible effects of that afterwards, like being able to see the pencils in the classrooms that the money went towards, or the new desks, or whatever it is, which makes it a really cool experience. Tell me more about your industry, and what are some things that people who aren't necessarily familiar with the special needs industry, what are some things they wouldn't know?
Sort of on the greater nonprofit landscape, I'll sort of start there. Of course, we're in Gwinnett, and it's really everywhere here in the greater sort of Atlanta, Athens kind of corridor that we're in today. There's just so many amazing and very worthy nonprofits and causes and people out there doing some just amazing work, and often are doing it very much in the shadows and without the proper funding. And they're doing it through sheer effort because they're seeing a need in their community, and they're looking around and maybe realizing that it's not being addressed, or they don't feel like there's someone out there working, to solve that problem. And so they go, well, I think I can do something about that. And that's very much how we got started, 36 years ago, was one or two people said, there is a problem, and I think we can bring a solution to the table or try to help address this. And so getting to work in the nonprofit space and getting to meet a lot of people, there are large nonprofits that tend to get a lot of attention, and people sort of equate nonprofits to those. What they don't realize is it's often a group of a few volunteers dedicating their time, their efforts, their money to do work at the absolute, grassroots level to people that really, really need it. And so sometimes people will see, fundraisers or, all these organizations trying to raise money, and it's very easy sometimes to not look a little bit deeper at the work that's being done by some absolutely amazing people. And so anyone in the nonprofit space that's working to make a difference, we work together. We're all pulling the rope together, I think, to try to make our communities just a little bit better. And so it's a really positive place to work in. And I maybe that was a surprise to me, was how collaborative that is. Now, obviously, specific to us and sort of the special needs education, and we have an adult day program as well, is, public schools are wonderful. And for almost every individual, they're going to be a great option. But just how many children specifically struggle to find that right environment. In Gwinnett County, we have about 200,000 school-age students. We serve about 75 of them.
Wow.
And there are certainly other organizations, public and private, serving that. But oftentimes there's just not that many options for families. And, we serve anywhere from 5 to 7 counties. A lot of times that's because those families are residing somewhere where, if that public school is not working quite right, there's not a second option, or certainly not an option maybe that they can afford. And so they will drive and travel and go through and jump through a lot of hoops to do whatever is right for their child. And so, we do whatever we can to try to help serve those families, give them the best possible experience. We've got students that are very high functioning, and they will graduate and go on to do some incredible things in the workforce, in colleges and technical schools. And we have children that every day and basic life skills are their challenge, and will be probably every day for the rest of their lives. And both of those students need to feel empowered to come every day and have fun and be challenged, and know that, every day is a good day, and their families are going to know they're well taken care of. They're safe. Again, they're progressing on whatever track is correct for them and whatever pace is right for them. And so, it's just really rewarding to get to be a part of that process. And again, I'm learning more about it every day, and talk to other schools that do what we do or do similar to what we do, and find out what's working for them and what are the things that maybe they're having great successes with that we can make part of our organization, or share things that are making a difference at SNS that maybe somebody else can benefit from in their organization. So yeah, it's an eye-opening and constant learning experience, and one that's sort of based on collaboration and teamwork and sharing, not only within our building, but with our other organizations that are doing the kind of work that we do.
Wow. It's really cool to hear the whole story. Tell me more about SNS. How did y'all start? How have y'all grown? The whole history.
1987.
Wow.
4 families at a church in Lawrenceville, preschool age children, probably on the autism spectrum, that had no idea what was appropriate for their children in terms of school. And our co-founders, who were part of that church, speech pathologist and an educator, saw their need, said, you know what, I think we can help. And the church gave them a room which is now a storage closet.
Wow, really?
And they literally started a preschool program with 4 kids in a converted storage closet at a church.
Wow.
And I don't know if they thought that was going to be the start of a now 36 plus year journey. But they saw a need and they said, I think we can do something about it. And so they started this preschool program, working with these 4 kids in the most humble imaginable beginnings. And certainly, the accommodations were as bare bones as you could ask for, but the love and the dedication to doing something, for these young children and trying to help them live their most rewarding and enjoyable and productive lives. That's all they focused on. And so as the years went along, not only with those children growing older, but others becoming a part of it, it sort of slowly and incrementally grew. And it went from just being a preschool to a preschool and a primary school and an elementary program and middle and high school. And so the word schools in our title, special needs schools, often many people think that means we're multiple campuses or multiple locations. And really, we're one organization on one campus. But for a while there, we were sort of running parallel programs. But now we exist in the pre-K through 12 space. We've got children as young as 2 or 3 entering our half-day preschool program, all the way through the age of 22, and as they're graduating or aging out of school, and everywhere in between. And again, 36 plus years now, but for most of those 36 years, again, very, very humble physical accommodations. For a lot of that time working out of borrowed spaces, shared spaces. We moved to our campus in Lawrenceville a little more than 15 years ago, but really for a lot of that time, we're running out of trailers and, old homes and not the sort of accommodations that we wanted to provide, and certainly not anywhere on par with the level of care and love that was happening in the classroom. I talk to families often that talk about that first time they drove on our campus and expected to come in and see a big, very professional, formal-looking school building, and they saw a couple of old houses and a couple of trailers and almost turned around.
Wow.
And thought to themselves, oh, gosh, I don't know if this is the right place for my child. And then they went inside and they talked to the teachers and they talked to the ministers and they met the other students and they met the families and realized, what maybe we were lacking at that point in curb appeal, we more than made up for with the love and the care and the compassion and the things that were, the magic that was happening in those classrooms, and said, this is absolutely the place for my child. Now, we've been really lucky over the last 5 or 6 years to start to change that narrative and build these physical accommodations that are long overdue. Match that to the amazing education that's always been there. And so that's really been, particularly in the last few years, a big part of my journey is, these kids, these teachers, these families, they deserve this. These are the things that they have are long overdue in enjoying and having, and the things that teachers have been asking for to take that education experience and elevate it to the next level. And so I've been really lucky to be a part of providing a lot of that for them and listening to them and hearing the things that they need and saying, okay, let's go find some folks that want to stand behind you and make that a reality. And we've been incredibly lucky that a lot of people want to do that. And so it's been an amazing journey. I've only been there for a short time, but I really can't imagine a story with a better, more humble beginning than 4 kids in a converted storage closet. So
it's crazy how some of the biggest things come from the most humble beginnings and some of those powerful things. And it's awesome because our name is Make You Remarkable, and we're talking about the remarkable experiences that you provide at SNS. And it's been really cool to hear kind of what you were saying about that first family coming in and be like, I don't know. The remarkable experience is what kind of allows that peace of mind. And as you're saying, now as you're growing and as you're getting the finances, you're able to kind of match your curb appeal to the remarkable experiences you already provide. But tell me more about how you and your team make remarkable experiences. What do y'all do? What do you implement to make sure that every family, every kid has a remarkable experience?
So I think the differentiator with us is we are small enough and structured in a way where we get to focus on every child as an individual. And when they come to our school, we get to understand where they are academically, emotionally, on a lot of different fronts, what their goals are, what their family envisions for them, and work with them essentially one-on-one to craft that educational journey. And a lot of schools they're just not set up for that. And so I think that's really the magic is, we're set up for that. We have that structure and the flexibility, but then you can't do anything with that if you don't have amazing people that care, that are passionate about what they do,
Right.
that are gifted teachers and educators who can then take that plan and put it into action. And I say we have students of all backgrounds, all levels of functioning, all disabilities, the widest variety of goals that you can imagine. And every one of those kids is receiving that education in the way that's most beneficial to them. There's no cookie cutter stock approach to curriculum, to teaching. This is not a teacher stands at the front of the room and gives a lecture and the students take notes and learn. That's not how special education works. It's certainly not how we work at SNS. And so it's again remarkable to see teachers that care and that are empowered to do what's right for the kids, and families that understand how important and valuable that is. And we see far too often in this sort of space, the disability is the point of focus. What's different, what's challenging, what a kid can't do.
So true.
What's, again, this is for lack of a better term, what's wrong with them. Nothing's wrong with them, but that's sort of the life
Right.
that they have lived is viewing life through that lens. And they come to a school like ours and we go, hey, listen, like we all have special needs. There's also, every one of us has something that's different from the person next to us that we struggle, that we work to overcome. Like we're all the same in that respect. Let's focus on what is great about you. Let's focus on your abilities. Let's focus on the victories that you're looking for, this year, this month in your life. Let's work for those. Let's celebrate those. Let's, again, look through a different lens.
Yeah.
And it's amazing sometimes to see that weight lifted off the shoulders of some of these kids and their families, and looking at life or school in a positive way versus looking at it in a negative way. Sometimes just that change can make all the difference in the world. And suddenly you get kids that have struggled and been bullied and picked on, and their parents maybe have lower expectations of what they're capable of. And within a month, it's a whole different ballgame. And they're doing some amazing things and remarkable things. And sometimes just that tweak in mindset and the positive energy around them that's encouraging them to think about things in a bright light as opposed to a dark light is amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful to be able to kind of take that narrative of a lot of people who are, maybe coming in saying like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I figure this out? And being able to say, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. You just think differently, or your brain works a little bit differently. And there's so much beauty in that. Because the cool thing is there's just so much power to the difference in how their brains work. And it's such a cool thing to be able to sit there and praise that and work with them and accommodate the education needs. Like we were saying, hey, there's no cookie cutter approach. We can't just have a teacher sit at the front of a classroom because I learn differently than how she learns. And it's helpful to be able to go and teach on an individual basis and be able to do that. In public schools and in bigger schools, this is not a possibility. There's so many people moving in and out. But here you're able to say, hey, let's sit down and let's work on this together. Let's figure out how we can best suit this to your needs. That's such a powerful thing to be able to do.
Families that assume if my child can't go to college, if my child is not someone who's going to go get a job, that's the path I've always envisioned for them. And if that's not right, like we've failed, someone's failed, like we want, we're wishing for a different outcome. And we can say, listen, just because they're not going to college, that's okay. Like they can live an amazing life and be rewarded in a lot of ways. And you as a family can be proud of them for the things that they accomplish. You just might, maybe need to think about it from a little different perspective and break down some of the social norms. Just because someone else thinks that's the right path for your child doesn't necessarily mean that's the path they have to walk. And we'll encourage them to do whatever is best for them and brings them the most joy in their lives. And like, we're going to celebrate every milestone along the way.
One of the things I was always told by my family was that God has given us each individual skills and each individual abilities. And education and school isn't always the one that he's given someone. Like take me, for example, school is not my strong suit. God gave me the ability to go and do creative things like photography and videography, which completely changed the course of what my parents had envisioned for me. But there was so much beauty. And one of our, I forgot what her job title is, but she does like special needs and like accommodations at our school for people with learning differences, was very helpful in helping my parents say, hey, there's a difference in like how my brain works. I have ADHD and dyslexia, which obviously is not the same as autism, but it's that difference that was kind of scary at first. And it's a very different scale. I know I've met so many families who have children with autism who are like, at the beginning, I just didn't know what to do. But the peace of mind that your school is able to provide is so powerful because you're able to take families that are really stressed out. They're like, I don't know how my child's life isn't gonna be what I thought it was. The vision that I had isn't gonna come out the way that I wanted. That's a scary thing to kind of be confronted with. But to have someone come alongside you and be like, hey, that's okay. We can help you kind of change that narrative and find a different path for your child, which is so powerful.
It absolutely is. And we see often that a lot of the families that come to us, particularly with young children, this is all new to them. They've not known anyone. They've certainly not had anybody in their family with a special need. They don't know, what's possible. What should I do? What's available? Where are the resources? Am I the only person in the world that's walking this path? And a lot of them walk in and, within the world that they live in, they might be the only family that's dealing with this. And again, this feeling of loneliness and that journey is terrible. And then they come to a place like SNS and they meet 70 plus other families that all have that very similar experience. And there's a lot of commonality and there's a community around that. And suddenly, when they have a question about, my child has some sensory issues and doesn't like to be touched, where do I get a haircut? Where can I take them to the dentist? What insurance options are available to me? What funding programs can help my family and my child? They have a million questions or a million needs. Oftentimes they don't know the right questions to ask, or they don't know the things that are available to them. And whether it's us as an administration, as a school, to help provide them with some of those resources or point them in the right direction, or another family to say, hey, listen, I know exactly what you're going through. Here's some things that are really helpful for me. Let me help educate you on these things or help walk that path with you. And so at the end of the day, yes, we are a school. We're there for academics. We're there for the sort of educational experience. But there's so much more that goes on inside of that building and within the community of the families that we serve that is impactful on a lot of different layers.
So we talked a lot about families coming to SNS and a lot of questions that they've had. We were talking earlier about one of the questions being, what happens after the school program? What happens after K through 12? What do y'all do then?
Yeah, and for a very long time, we didn't have an answer to that question. Again, we were just a school program for about the first 20 years. And then we started to have students graduate or age out, or we'd have calls from other families saying, I have a young adult, they just aged out of school. And there is really a big shortage in adult day programs. And so our answer to that was our YALS program, and YALS stands for Young Adults Learning Life Skills. And really that is for students as young as about 18, and there's no cap as far as the age goes, but really if they have graduated from school or they've aged out at the age of 22 and they still need support and structure and training, but it's more of a transition into adulthood. So you take away sort of the academic details that you'd find in a school program, and it's a focus on life skills, and really with the goal of building independence. And just like our school program, that is a really wide spectrum. Independence means different things to different people. Some will use that as a little bit more of like, my young person might want to go out and get a job or work, and so we can work with them on some of those skills. Others, it's again basic life skills. Families want to just know that their son or daughter or child is cared for and is safe and is with their friends and their peers. And so that program really is wonderful, and it serves across all of those capacities. We have young people too that are in their 30s that have been with us for 20 years.
Wow.
And they've been with peers that they went to school with the whole way through, and staff that they've known for that entire time. And so when we talk about what makes us different or things that kind of make SNS stand out from other organizations, that consistency and that continuity are really, right there at the top of the list, where a child can come as a very young person, work their way through the entire educational landscape, move on to the YALS program, continue on that journey with their friends and their peers in a familiar environment, in a structure that they know is great for them. And so, yeah, it's amazing to hear. I'll talk to some of the YALS participants and say, hey, when did you start here? Oh, I was in elementary school. Me and him, have been side by side for 15 or 20 years. And some don't differentiate it as school. They think they go to school with their friends every day. But the YALS program just puts a little bit of a different spin and different focus. And is, again, really about giving them the basic skills to be as independent and successful in adult life as they were in their school life. And it's a great program, and one we're growing and trying to do more with. And last couple of years have brought some really unique opportunities to provide different sorts of experiences, but it's all been absolutely wonderful.
When we talk about the remarkable experiences you're providing, that's a great example of a lot of schools and a lot of systems that are able to accommodate people with learning differences and people with autism. That's kind of like you were saying, that's just I don't know what happens after that. Like we can only go K through 12. We don't really know what to do next. Being able to provide that next step and being able to really continue your remarkable experience by having students who have already learned their classmates, already know their teachers, they're moving still with them. You're not changing the environment. You're there with the same people, and there's no fear factor in that. It's just going right into more life lessons. And that's such a powerful thing.
And again, whether school is a great environment, an okay environment, or a bad environment, school is always there. The public school system is there to serve you during your school age years. And that doesn't exist in the adult space. There is not a standard option that, is always there and available to you.
Right.
And many of these families, as they're working through, the school years, sometimes every day is a challenge. And the sole focus is, let's make today as great as it can be. Let's work through the challenges. Let's get to tomorrow. And then usually when there's about a year or two left and they're 20 and you're sitting down for that sort of parent-teacher meeting and you say to them, have you thought about what you're going to do when your son or daughter graduates from school or ages out? And they go, oh my gosh, we never thought of that. And then you can see the reality sort of set in, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? They can't be by themselves and I can't leave them at home all day. And, I have to work. And the structure sometimes that school provides, entire family's existence revolves around that.
Yeah.
And the reality of what happens if that goes away starts to dawn on people. It's a powerful and eye-opening experience. And so, again, the YALS is there for the young adult. It's there for, their independence. But in a lot of ways, it's there to continue to provide the family with that structure that they need for, the entire family's sort of daily life and routine and existence. And so it's a great next step and really one that, as we see, there are other organizations, certainly in Gwinnett, here in Oconee, all over that serve the young adults with disabilities. But there are far more out there that need programs like that. And so we see a tremendous amount of interest and demand in that adult program as well for that reason, is that there's just not as many options out there to kind of find that best fit and prepare them for what's next in adulthood.
So we've talked about you being a nonprofit and a private school, and there are a lot of financial demands that are really hard to meet. How can people give to you, and how can they support you? And what does that mean? What do y'all do with the funds? How does that help you as a private school or a nonprofit?
Sure. Yeah, I often say we are a nonprofit school before we are a private school. Particularly here in the greater Atlanta area, when you say that you're on the private side of education, people can very easily assume the type of environment that you are, the type of families you serve, and the costs that are associated with that. There's some amazing private schools here in Atlanta that tend to feel and cost more like a college education than they do anything else. And at least with the families we serve, that's just not, generally speaking, the type of financial circumstances that they're coming from. And they're not able just to come in and write a check and go about their business. They need a lot of help. And many of them come to us with the assumption that a quote unquote private school environment is not something that's within reach for them. There are some great programs here in the state of Georgia, particularly for students who have disabilities, and there's some funding in place where if public school is not the right environment, they can take some of that funding with them and come to a private environment. So many families often don't know about that when they come and sit down with us for the first time. So, we're there to make sure we're the right fit, but also there to tell them more about the things that are out there to serve them and how, they can access some of those funds. But at the end of the day, donor support means a lot. And whether it's scholarships to be able to help fill that gap and make sure that a student and their family who come to us who have challenges outside of just school with finances and life in general, that we can still welcome that student and not place that burden on that family's shoulders and say, if we can serve and this is the right environment, we have some amazing people who believe in us and believe in your job, and they want to help fill that gap and provide that support. So scholarships is certainly a huge part of what we do. Outside of that, again, we're a school, so classroom resources, things for teachers, technology, growth. Again, we're bursting at the seams, and we want to be able to grow and do more and build more buildings and renovate spaces, vehicles, so we can take students out on field trips and the young adults out to learning experiences. And volunteerism is a big part of that program. There's an endless amount of causes at a school like ours, but at the end of the day, we've got some great programs and ways that if someone feels a connection to this world, and they're listening to this or they're reading about us online and they say, you know what, I feel something here and maybe I can help. The beautiful thing about, we talked earlier about small nonprofits and the great things about them is big donations make a big impact at a school like ours. Small donations make a big impact at a school like ours. And so I talk to people sometimes that go, well, gosh, if I can't write a big check, what really can I do to help? Little gestures, little things, sometimes, far less than what people would imagine can make an impact, really do. And so we encourage anybody who feels that connection to this cause, that maybe knows a young person with special needs and understands some of the challenges that they go through, and they say to themselves, you know what, I think maybe in some capacity we can help, whether it's scholarships, whether it's school supplies, whether it's capital improvements that we want to make, whether it's future growth. There's a million ways to do it. Go on our website, reaching out to me. Let's find something that is meaningful to you, and we can present to you some ways that you can sort of most directly and financially most advantageous to you as a donor to explore.
And that's so helpful to know, because I know there's plenty of people that listen to these podcasts and they're like, okay, well now I know about this, but how do I actively give and how can I actually make an impact here? And we talk all about making you remarkable, and so it's very important to help them know what to do next. But I know that we have, as an organization, have partnered with you guys and helping make an impact and helping work with you. But what does that look like for other organizations to work with you and to give to you?
Yeah, so you guys have been amazing partners really over the last year or so, as we've gotten to know you guys not only as a bank, but through the Remarkable Foundation and some of the amazing team members that you guys have. It's been a real pleasure to get to work with you guys on a variety of fronts. We were recent grant recipients through the Remarkable Foundation, and that's going to go to benefit a really cool new project with our young adult program, calling it the Y'all's Coffee House. And so they're gonna learn the process of basically operating a small coffee business. And it's all gonna go back to our teachers. So teachers will be able to order coffee drinks, they'll make them, they'll deliver them. So really kind of fun, small, but very approachable thing that you guys have helped fund and create. And our young adults are excited about being a part of it. Our teachers are very excited about getting coffee drinks delivered to them. So it's a win-win on both sides. We're grateful for that. But even before that, particularly with the Gwinnett location, they've been donors to the Y'all's program before, helping to support some culinary programs that we do. Your team members at some branches gathered school supplies in the month of August and came out a few weeks ago to deliver those. So you guys are making a difference on a lot of different fronts. And it's really been fun to see and learn more about, Oconee State Bank at a whole. Yeah. The values that you guys share at the kickoff party a few weeks ago for the foundation, getting to meet other organizations that you're supporting and the great work that's happening. So bravo to you guys on all fronts for not just sort of talking the talk and hosting podcasts, but actually going out there and and empowering some of these organizations to go do the work that you guys believe in and stand behind. So, other organizations that sort of have that shared passion, again, big or small, and whatever level they want to either get involved in financially, in-kind donations are often important. Volunteer opportunities. We have programs and events and things throughout the year that we can always use extra sets of hands and people with levels of expertise or professional backgrounds that that can be beneficial and help us. Things like that are always we're always in need of and always open to. Families that know other families that are struggling to find an educational space. I can't tell you how many times I will go to an event with the mindset that I'm going to go set up a table, talk about the school, talk about donation options, and think that if I can just get someone today to donate, today's going to be a win. And you end up finding someone that says, my niece, my nephew, my grandchild, my next door neighbor, my coworker has a child, and they're really struggling right now, and they don't know what's available, and we've never heard of you. And a week later, that family's in there for a tour, and maybe they're enrolled the next semester. So just creating awareness, helping to tell the amazing story about SNS.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to involve a check to make a difference. Obviously, if you feel really powerfully or feel about it, feel great about it and want to be a part of it, financial contributions are always needed and impactful. But there's a lot of ways to make an impact. But a great first step is to visit the website, specialneedschools.org. It's great information there, options about how to give, the causes that need support, or reach out to me. Again, anyone who feels connected to this and wants to make a difference, I'm here to help you walk that journey or walk that path and find out what's best for you as someone who wants to be a part and be engaged.
Awesome. And thank you again for saying that about Oconee State Bank. I mean, for us, it's all about like making our remarkable. We want to really make a mark on our community and support people that we see making the same mark, which is why we have this whole show, is being able to highlight and promote people who are making a remarkable impact on the people and the lives within their community. So being able to hear your story and talk about SNS and how y'all make an active mark on so many lives, it's just a really incredible thing. As we're kind of wrapping up, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, when you first heard the words "make you remarkable," what did that mean to you?
We talked a little bit earlier about sort of my background, and I alluded to serving because people paid for it versus serving because people need it. And I know for me personally at the school, the ability to play a very small part in changing the trajectory of someone's life who, oftentimes may not have had that opportunity otherwise. I think of one young person, and obviously I can't go into too many details, but this was someone we met through through a fundraising event, and someone referred this family to us. Great young man, had some challenges, was really struggling in the environment that he was in. They came to our school, and that young man the change is remarkable, really and truly. Academically, emotionally, he's become a leader in ways that he certainly was not before. He's become a role model for younger students. It's not uncommon. We're giving a tour, and there he is, and he almost wants to sing the praises of how impactful it's been for him. And that was just a chance encounter and a small change of setting, and helping to kind of redefine what that young person's educational journey was going to look like. And I didn't really and truly do anything profound to make any of that happen, but to get to play, again, a really small role in something that at face value doesn't seem like it's that maybe big or important or impactful. But for that child and for his family and his future, I hope and I'm optimistic that decades from now, they'll look back at that moment and that change by coming to our school as the thing that set them on an entirely different path in life, and that they're going to enjoy a lot of wonderful things that I hope they would have otherwise, but I'm not so sure that was the path that they were on before. And so Again, I can talk about things that are rewarding to me, but at the end of the day, like, that's why we do this. Like, that's the real stuff. And when you get to do something for someone who maybe can't quite do it for themselves, but when they see someone stand behind them and believe in them, sometimes push them a little bit in the right direction, and then they're off and running and accomplishing some great things, there's nothing better than that.
Well, thank you again so much for joining us. And right before we go, told you we were going to do this at the beginning, but we're going to do the lightning round, our fun round of questions. They're super just fun questions to lighten the mood, be fun, and
All right.
fun times. So first and foremost, share a personal best or a business best.
Personal best. Well, I already talked about the Augusta National Round.
Yeah.
So, I think, again, I don't like to sort of talk about myself too much, but in this nonprofit landscape, I think over the last 5 years, I've helped raise about $7.5 million
Wow.
for causes that matter. That's something I never would have in my life thought that was possible. So I feel really proud to have done that because of the impact that those dollars are creating. So I think that's a cool thing and something that, I'm really proud of being a part of.
Yeah, that's definitely a personal best. That's amazing. What is the most recent show that you've binge watched or are currently streaming?
So I'm an old person and and someone who is not too well versed in sort of the modern, streaming show landscape. The Office is sort of the background of my life.
It's a classic.
If I'm at home and there's a TV around, the chances are The Office is on, and that's never a bad thing to watch. And I'm pretty sure I could probably quote just about word for word almost every single episode now.
Awesome.
So between that and Jeopardy every night, again, I'm sort of dating myself with all this, but if The Office or Jeopardy's on, life is good.
Life is good. Office is a great show. I just recently started watching it, and it's hilarious.
You're late to the party, but
I know,
welcome.
I'm so late to the party. My roommates have been giving me a hard time for that. What is your favorite book or other resource?
So it's just sort of on the entertainment side of it. Dan Brown as an author has always been someone that I've enjoyed. Doesn't release books nearly often enough anymore. But I just sort of love finding sort of little personal development books, professional leadership books. In my career, I was lucky enough to work for the Ritz-Carlton. So there's some great sort of hospitality geared books that I've read. So I don't probably read enough, but I always like to sort of find things that are going to motivate me to do something a little bit better, maybe give me some tools to go out there and better serve.
What is the most impactful piece of advice you've ever been given? The hard one.
Yeah. So I guess it wouldn't be a piece of advice in that it was told to me. It was a learned piece of advice, we'll call it. My first job out of college in the golf space, the golf professional that I worked for just made us work like crazy. And I didn't always appreciate or understand at the time, but he drilled into us the importance of details and the importance of paying attention to all little details, even if you don't think anyone else is ever going to notice them, that if everything and all the little pieces are just right, how that can be a really profound and impactful thing. And so I think sometimes in today's day and age, or again, as I sit here calling myself an old person, it drives me crazy when people forget about the little touches and the little details. And when I see someone that pays attention and mind and respect to the little things, I think that makes all the difference in the world. So I try very hard to do that. And again, it was a learned experience that I maybe didn't appreciate the methodology behind it. But looking back, I understood what the point was, and like to think that that's something that I carry with me throughout my life and my career as well.
What is your mantra or something you tell your staff and your family every day or often?
Just, be a good ambassador for the school, be a good representative of not only your family, but the place you work for, and just do good for other people. And I'm empowered every day to go out and do something for other people. Nothing that I do on a daily basis is for me. I get to take personal reward and some joy away from it. But, if you can do something for somebody else and make their lives a little bit better, your life is going to be a lot better as a byproduct of that. So have that as your sort of point of focus. Do it for somebody else. Chances are you're gonna take maybe more away from it than maybe they even do. And
wow.
It's if everyone could only have that mindset, I think the world would be a heck of a lot better place.
That's a great mantra. That's a really good one. And then lastly, what is your best golf tip? I'm sure you have hundreds, but what is the best?
The most important thing about golf is the people you play with and the places it takes you.
Mm.
I play with too many golfers, and I'm around people who are concerned about every shot, the score they shoot, all the things that, hey, I'm very fortunate in life. I've played some great golf. My favorite memories in golf have absolutely nothing to do with the score that I shot that day. So appreciate the people that you get connected with through golf. Appreciate the places it takes you. And above all else, play fast. The only number that really matters at the end of the day is pace of play, not so much your score. So if you've got that mindset, you're going to enjoy golf, and other people are going to enjoy playing golf with you.
Well, again, thank you so much, Jamie, for coming on and talking to us a lot about this. Everyone, make sure that you like and subscribe. And Jamie, where can people reach you if they want to get in contact with you?
Specialneedschools.org or y'allsgroup.org, specific to the adult program. My contact information is there. Love to connect with you. If you want to learn a little bit more about what we do or how you can support, it would be my honor to get to help out with that. So please reach out.
Awesome. If you're interested, make sure you reach out. And if you feel led, please donate and help support the special needs schools of Gwinnett. Thanks, guys.